Did you know, Mark, your credit card points and miles can lose value to inflation? Credit card companies often reduce the redemption value of your points and miles. Now imagine a credit card with rewards that can grow in value.
That's right. With the Gemini credit card, you can earn Bitcoin or one of over 50 other cryptos instantly with no annual fee. Every swipe at the store or gas pump earns you instant rewards deposited straight into your account. Plus, sign up now for a $200 Bitcoin bonus to kickstart your rewards.
A Bitcoin bonus. That is what I need in my life. So I guess I have to visit Gemini.com/card today. If you're looking to invest in Bitcoin but don't know where to start, the Gemini credit card makes it easy.
Issued by WebBank. To qualify for the $200 crypto intro bonus, you must spend $3,000 in your first 90 days. Some exclusions to instant rewards apply. This is not investment advice, and trading crypto involves risk. Check Gemini's website for more details on rates and fees.
Parles-tu français?
¿Hablas español?
Parla italiano.
If you've used Babbel, you would. Babbel's conversation-based technique teaches you useful words and phrases to get you speaking quickly about the things you actually talk about in the real world. With lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts and voiced by real native speakers, Babbel is like having a private tutor in your pocket. Start speaking with Babbel today. Get up to 55% off your Babbel subscription right now at babbel.com/listen. Spelled BABBEL.com/listen. Rules and restrictions may apply.
And the great thing about the NFL is we get to find out who's right. There is no gray area, right? Either Sean McDermott's going to, in the next coaching cycle, take another bad team like the Bills and turn them around, or he's not. Either the Bills are going to break through this AFC title game wall, or they're not. And that's what I love about this whole situation. Everybody's onions are on the table.
Hey-o, welcome to Heed the Call, an NFL podcast. My name is Dan Hanzus, joined by my beautiful co-host, Marc Sessler. Conor Orr with us. Always wonderful when that's the case. Justin Graver, as always, on the ones and twos. Call this the return of the end-around episode, as we're going to get you caught up on all the latest news from around the league, anything else that jumped out to us as interesting. We have more head coach hires, some press conferences, some conspiracy theories. It's all of a piece in the Heed universe. Ceci, I also like there's a little undercurrent here of one of my favorite things, Marc Sessler anxiety. We have two things. It's two-pronged right now, Connor. We have one, the obvious Cleveland Browns of it all, right? As Mark is trying to figure out who's going to want to coach my team, who's it going to be. You have the Stefanski presser, that his introductory presser in Atlanta, which we'll get to. And then as a little bonus, a little Ceci anxiety bonus, his apartment building down in downtown Hollywood has a major fire alarm test in, let's see, according to what I have. What do we have, Justin, right now? Is it at 92 minutes from now? So Ceci has a concern and a building concern.
Well, it's for you. It's for you.
It's like a literal building concern on two levels.
You can label it Ceci's anxiety. That feels comfortable for this show, which it's not. It's like we've got a ticking clock that the sound will destroy my box on the show, my version of whatever I would offer.
As we get closer to this countdown expiring potentially, I believe it will affect you more than me. In fact, I might go full Dark Knight Joker, and the closer we get to the 000s, the more joy that I'll feel.
Well, if this goes an hour, if this show goes 91 minutes, we've probably done something a little bit off base there. But I do think it's notable that I rarely say, like, guys, especially in this world. I know back in the old day, it seemed like it was like, oh, Mark's got to leave, whatever. But like, I never say like, we've got to stop at this time. I make very few time requests. I kind of just try to roll with it the best I can. I think Justin could attest to that.
You're not a man that's big on hard outs, you're saying?
Well, I don't demand anything because it's an impossible group to work with on that front. And so today was the one day that I tried to make it clear,
anxiety,
like, if we could start
building
on time, it would be better for the show sound-wise if we got out of here by 1. And the first, I see like ... Dan typing. and said the show is meant to begin at 11. He's like, hey, I need the show to begin at 11:15. I'm like, I know what you're doing. You right away, you got a house thing that's, like we're going to start late, then we're going to talk about the Yankees for 20 minutes. And here we are. It's 11:29. So
Let's ask the Mystic Pickle. Mystic Pickle.
Yeah.
Will this show be over before the fire alarm in Hollywood?
Pickle your thoughts and the answer will ferment.
Pickle your thoughts and the answer will cement.
Ferment.
kind of makes sense.
You know what?
ferment.
Don't touch grass.
My wife chimes in. All right, Mark. Well, we'll try to keep things moving for you.
Well, it's also a building that could start at 2. They said 1. So I'm hoping to have saved from an audio angle the show.
It does perhaps speak to who I am, that when you sent that text where you were like, "Oh, we got to get out of here. Got to get out of here."
That's not what the text told us.
I got some goosebumps because I was like, "Oh, now I get to send the text that the painter is coming to do an outdoor estimate, just a walkthrough to because I'm taking estimates to get my house painted right at the time we were supposed to start. It's only going to take a few minutes, but now I get to fire off this text over to Cessy and see his reaction, baby."
You did. I said, look at, like, just to be, well, hold on. I'm going to read these real fast. Like, item, : apparently we have testing today at 1 p.m. Should be fine if we start relatively on time. LOL, okay, Justin writes right away. And then
you don't
it's
even
a
like
dot.
Like, you don't even like that, Mark. Let's break it down. Like, let's stop down there. You don't like Justin going LOL, okay.
I don't think he's taking me seriously on any level, right, Connor? And then I have got
I'm
Dan
not
says
on this text chain. I'm looking at
no,
this.
this was, I didn't want to bother you with it because I wanted to see what came out in the wash in terms before we
try to
involved.
shield you, Connor, as someone who
Yeah.
has a separate day job from certain elements of the pre-production.
And then Dan writes, on that note, let's push to 11:15. I have a house painter coming over. I was like, what? And I said, just to be clear, I am angling for a 1 p.m. Pacific time out. Should be fine if we get going, plus any, other stuff.
That's when I knew
Do I sound
had you.
demanding, though? I'm just
because you had, within minutes of telling us that you had the 1 p.m. out,
right.
You then followed up again, reminding us of something that you had told us 4 minutes earlier, and I was like, "Oh, the anxiety."
Well, I thought I just had been
building.
I thought I had been visually railroaded, like people just ignored what I wrote. Which
Turn it up in my headphones.
Justin operating as the little pet evil cat, doing whatever the owner says.
What is it, Azriel?
Gargamel and Azriel back in action.
Where are we at on the countdown? Got so much to get to today.
It's happening in 10 minutes at this point. But.
The Browns are going to hire their head coach in 4 minutes, too. It's going to be amazing. And it's going to be actually going to be Condoleezza Rice this time,
It's that clock ticking. It's like telltale heart over here for Cessy. He's going to rip up the floorboards by the end of the show.
Hey.
All right, so let's get into it for Cessy's sake. I want to start, though, with, I call it, it's a new segment. Fly it up, Justin. A new little interlude on the show. I call it One Big Thought from the old Zeuser.
Why do you look like you're on Baywatch in this graphic we're looking at?
Have you ever seen Baywatch, Mark?
Yeah, but just
He's wearing a cap and gown. That is the
hair.
mid-card early 90s WWF jobber, the Genius.
Yes.
Lanny Poffo, brother of Macho Man Randy Savage, for those who know. One of my favorite heels ever in that era of wrestling. And that's a crude Photoshop with the old Zeuser's face slapped on it.
Was he leaping Lanny Poffo before he became this genius figure?
Very likely.
Yeah, because I knew leaping Lanny Poffo, and he was a bit of sort of a middle of the pack kind of guy.
Mid-card.
Yeah.
All right, so here is the big question. Keep that rolling. I like that. Are we approaching the end? This is a little post-Championship Sunday mind exercise. Are we approaching the end of the go for it always, all the time era of analytics-driven coach decisions? I say it all the time on this show. The postseason brings about change. to rules, especially obviously when something that has that huge an audience, the stakes are that high, it tends to lead to action. And I wonder, and here's the big thought, I wonder if the same will end up being true with coaching strategy. Sean Payton, 4th and 1, up 7-0 in the second quarter with a blizzard about to roll into Denver, goes for it, fails, they lose 10-7. Sean McVay, the move that got much less talk, but I'm not sure why. 4th and 4, down 31-27, 5 minutes to play, all 3 timeouts in his back pocket. Maybe to Conor's point, a little bit on tilt in this game. Goes for it, fails, they lose 31-27. 2 years ago, Dan Campbell, also Championship Sunday, may have Galaxy analytic to the Lions out of their first Super Bowl appearance. He passed up 2 field goal attempts. I looked this up. He passed up 2 field goal attempts inside 50 yards in the second half of the 2023 NFC title game, leading to a pair of failed 4th down conversions. Final score, 34-31, 49ers. And don't take this the wrong way. I'm not Booger McFarlane out here staring into a camera in Buttfart, Connecticut with lifeless eyes, a doll's eyes, saying, I went to the Super Bowl kicking 5 field goals. No. This isn't a take bemoaning the introduction and dominance of analytics to the sport. I'm simply curious to see if the data trends back in the other direction after 2 high-profile coaches were burned badly by their choices with a trip to the Super Bowl on the line. Conor, your thought on my big thought?
Brilliant. I was talking about this with my buddy Albert this morning, actually. And what I think is important is we're going to eventually end up, like we do with a lot of things, in the spot where we were meant to be. Because football is not evolution, it's revolution. And so what happens here is that we go all the way in to analytics and we staff up and we feel like we're behind. And so we bring in everybody and their mother, and we go into EPA and we dive into all this stuff and we build our system around it. And then it gets to the point where we needed that, right? Because we had Jason Garrett. That was the archetype, right? It's 4th and 1 at midfield, and oh God, there's a storm coming and we better punt. That was what we were left with. And now this is what we're presented with. And the beauty is landing in the middle, which is where we should have been all along, where you factor in fatigue, where you factor in weather, where you factor in all these other things that a coach is paid to notice that have nothing to do with analytics. And in the perfect example of this, guys, Sean Payton's 4th and 1 decision did not factor in the fact that, and Christian Barmore said this after the game, and I was listening to him talk, he was basically demolishing Quinn Miners all game. He had his number and has had his number in the past. That's not something that analytics takes into account when you're running like a naked bootleg on 4th and 1, and then
4th and 4.
4th and 4. Or no, Sean's was 4th and 1, right? The Rams was 4th and 4. Peyton's was 4th and 1.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, but I got my Sean's confused.
Yeah.
2 Sean's.
My name's Luca. Also.
Okay, perfect.
and so I think the beauty of it is going to be that coaches now, after this, are going to have the runway to say, I understand what the analytics say, but can we all remember what happened in the playoffs? Like, we had to kind of pump the brakes on this. I didn't like the matchup.
The only thing that I agree with you that it's gone way in one direction, and naturally just everything in life is going to pivot back and find some balance. And I wouldn't point to the Broncos game as one of those data points specifically, because had it happened in a dome, I don't think anyone's talking about it. The problem for me is that when we lived in a more balanced field goal or go for it, and the field goal, go for it craze, going for it on 4th and whatever from anywhere thing, is the public and social media and the instant reaction to everything. And they're going to have to drown that out. They have to drown out questions about why they didn't follow their own analytics, because there aren't enough data points really anywhere that to suggest you should be kicking way more field goals. It seems to have gone in this other world. Like, the motherboard needs to be ignored by coaches in certain situations.
Do you get the idea, Conor, in conversations you've had, that the coach is in his headset getting the permutation that was punched in upstairs right into his ear, and it's making the decision for him? Like, how much have we gone away from the
baseball
gut of head coaching, and how much have we leaned into just what does the model say?
I don't think we're quite there, and I think Peyton is the perfect example where, and his 4th and 1 case was interesting because he called a timeout. And between those timeouts, the Patriots showed completely different looks, and it basically buried his play call that he liked in the moment. And it might have succeeded against another look. But you have that moment where you can say, okay, maybe he listened to his game manager. And he is Evan Rothstein, the former Patriots coach, who as his game manager, one of the better, more revered kind of game manager coaches in the league. And you can say that that was maybe an analytics-based decision, but on the same vein, that challenge was a very emotional challenge. And so I don't think Peyton or any coach is entirely controlled by any of that. And I would say that there's probably an animated back and forth on a lot of these headsets throughout the league. But I mean, analytics are the one thing that owners understand and continue to push because it's quantifiable, right?
Right.
And so it's
something
not going
you can
away.
look at a spreadsheet. That's how they became billionaires.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, that's what you do. This is what you don't do.
Correct.
The one other thought about, because again, and I'll stand by this point that some guys, and that's fun, with something we do all the time on the show, certainly something I do all the time, certain figures who are more deserving or more fun to poke at when they up, like a Sean Payton as opposed to Sean McVay. Payton gets killed for it. The other thing about the McVay decision, it's 3rd and 4, they incomplete pass, 4th and 4. They're in tight, obviously, close to the goal line, and Stafford can't run, right? So that's a very hard pass to pull off. You're too deep to run the ball. You don't have a quarterback that could scramble, and then you have a defense dropping 8 or 9 guys into the end zone. Like, that was a very low percentage opportunity, even for someone as brilliant as Matthew Stafford, with Puka Nacua, with Devontae Adams, with the guys he has in his backfield, with his tight end who's a playmaker. Like, that was a very tall challenge, and maybe to the point of what we were talking about, McVay with his eyes bulging out, sprinting down the sideline. Like, that stage was, this is my moment too, and I'm taking out my playbook, and I'm going to find a way to get us to the game, rather than just kick a field goal, get it to 1 point. And then what happens if Puka gets out of bounds on that last play of the game? Right. You're sending out your field goal, who's been nails for weeks now, with a chance to send you to the Super Bowl, and it's a what if for the Rams.
I mean, I want my coach on the road in the conference title game to live by the sword and die by the sword, though. There are a lot of field goal decisions or choosing against them that drive me nuts. And I really do think that you're right, that we're going to swing back. But in some of these specific situations, they don't feel like data points. They feel like instinct. And it's like you're telling your offense in any situation, you're going to get it done in Seattle on this day and this most important time, versus kicking the field goal.
And there's an easy way to counter it. To your point, you have the MVP, 2 of the best wide receivers in football on the field.
Threw for almost 500
caller.
yards like weeks ago against them.
Your defense went back on the field and wasn't able to get the stop to get the ball back to you anyway. Like, I'm not killing McVay here. It's interesting. You wonder if, again, that stage leads to a shift in the game. Moving on. Speaking of the Super Bowl, Seahawks, Patriots, Drake May against Sam Darnold. I mean, it's a Super Bowl that literally no one, even as the queen bee of the Darnold Hive bitch, I never thought that he'd be in the Super Bowl, let alone against the damn Patriots. And yet here we are. But for the conspiracy, put on your tinfoil hat. When sometimes the NFL feels predetermined, here is some chum for the waters. Here is the animation that they put out, the kind of a cartoon or, they put out at the beginning of the season before week 1. Saquon Barkley rightly in the foreground here, coming off the Eagles championship. You have Purdy, TJ Watt, Mahomes, Burrow, all again in the foreground. Then you have behind them guys like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, Jared Goff. But if you zoom all the way to the very end, who's closest to the stadium? Who is walking toward the Lombardi Trophy? Sam Darnold and Drake May.
Come on.
And to build into the conspiracy here, Connor, the one thing that would get me to really think that something is going on here is if Brian McCarthy, chief of PR or whatever for the NFL, chimed in, and he does on social media. He feels important to connect on this, quote, retweets it and says, regarding the quote controversy over this image - no. How about yes, bitch?
I love a good conspiracy as much as anybody. I mean, Mark and I literally used to host a podcast about them. But if there was some sort of conniving narrative to to get these two teams to the Super Bowl, I'd be very curious to hear what it was, unless like the NFL as a corporation placed like an insane Super Bowl bet on the Seahawks and Patriots and somehow are going to cash that, like Justin. I don't know what else.
I mean, we'd see that bet somewhere.
Like they filed it under an LLC or something, but I don't think that there's any possibility that that's true. Like, why would we want to end up here? Also, Malik Neighbors also very close to the Lombardi Trophy there.
If you look, though, also, it's interesting that Burrow and Lamar and Mahomes are all like joined at the hip in the back as people that are looking far from a distance into the playoffs. Here's my one thing. I was thinking about this, like in like ufology, right? Which normally sounds kooky. There's a wellspring or a push right now saying everyone's been thinking about it wrong. These aren't like physical beings and crafts from another universe traveling here. What they are time travelers from a deep, distant Earth coming back to examine us. And it makes kind of sense to me. And I feel like something like this gets made by someone who's already been in the future, and they can dot our landscape and our human experience with these little things. I'm willing to believe that there are things that are fixed. I'm not saying the NFL, but I think it's funny that the NFL right now is in an interesting place where if you go out to a restaurant, out on the street, you talk to people just around, anytime anything doesn't go exactly their way. And I don't feel like this was the lexicon in like 1992. It's like the league is fixed and everyone's like, yup, it's fixed. Like everyone just simply assumes the league is fixed at this point.
I'll ask the question that everyone's thinking. I'll address the 800-pound gorilla in the room. Mark, are you this time traveler from a distant galaxy?
I guess.
Are you responsible for this?
I guess the second thing would be, what if I didn't know if I was? That would be savvier because I can't spill the beans. Like you know what I mean? Like
you're the perfect prism then for this. You're the perfect figure for them to do the business in which they attempt to achieve on our planet.
They data wipe you and off you go.
Yes, Justin.
I like that this whole thing is happening, and I get that everyone's having fun with it and blah, 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 but can we just say that this is completely inaccurate? The closest people to the Lombardi Trophy, which was the initial like observation, are Drake May, along with Malik Neighbors and Baker Mayfield and Travis Hunter. I mean, Travis Hunter is closer than Sam Darnold, and he didn't play for half the season.
No, I think Darnold and May are aligned at the shoulders as a duo.
Where are you to jump into the show here with this completely like subjective viewpoint?
The trophy is the big silver shaded rectangle thing directly across from Malik Neighbors.
I'm with Justin.
Darnold is all the way off to the left. What are we talking about
Justin,
with this?
can you not appreciate that having these two quarterbacks who are shoulder to shoulder in terms of height here, looking like they're a duo, that the whole thing is just a screaming BS to you?
What a
Baker Mayfield is
what a strange bucket of water to drop on an otherwise fun conversation. So was that necessary?
This was my first thought when I saw this stuff going viral on Sunday night.
Okay,
I know people are going to chime in and agree with Justin, but like,
I know it's like, Justin was actually right.
It's
great.
Thanks,
Justin.
As a painting or whatever created it is an oddity. We have to agree to that.
We're just trying to have fun here. Jesus. Anyway, first there was Father Bear. Remember that guy, Father Doyle, walking the end zone line at the Bears game before one of their miraculous victories this season. Then we had Connor's mom at church. And by the way, to the point of the curse on Sean Payton that Connor's mom dropped at St. Augustine's or whatever, like
Our Lady of Snows.
Our Lady of Snows. It wasn't just the broken ankle. It was then the blizzard rolling in. Like those are acts of God.
I mean,
anyway,
yeah. The Nickel Roby Coleman thing, like it's starting to get a little spooky for sure.
All right. So now on another angle on the old Catholic beat, tying into a miraculous journey through this strange NFL season. The Pope's here now. In this century, every time a new Pope has been elected, the Seahawks have clinched the #1 seed and made it to the Super Bowl. 2005, Pope Benedict, Seahawks Super Bowl, lost to the Steelers. 2013, Pope Francis, Seahawks Super Bowl. Is that the loss to the Patriots or the win over the Broncos? I don't remember.
Patriots
25 Popolio Seahawks Super Bowl.
Well, it doesn't sound like Jesus is all in on the Seahawks. Like they're getting to a certain point when the Pope operates this way, but
that's fair. So maybe this either means that the Seahawks are a team of celestial destiny, or they're banged in the biggest of all spots with God.
This is making me absolutely.
It's good.
I get it. Hey, God, thanks for the Darnold Patriots Super Bowl, guy.
Oh, okay.
We have to learn to suffer.
And remember, if I had goodbye.
That's deep in the rear view. We moved on.
I do love that if it's God or time travelers, one of the two, that God has either instilled the NFL's like corporate artist with powers, because it's not just this one painting, right? Like there was 2 years ago where the colors of the logo were the Chiefs and the Eagles, and then there was like the font match the team. Like this guy has or girl has some sort of incredible connection to the eventual Super Bowl, and now he's also aligning popes with the Seahawks reaching it. Like that does speak to like a very universal sense of humor, which I can really love and appreciate.
Okay, Justin, now tell us why we shouldn't even talk about this, because it's silly. We're going to get to Brian Dable, the new OC of the Titans, soon enough, but anything to douse on this one?
No, I wasn't ready to douse this one.
Okay,
Coincidences happen? I don't know.
Thank you, Justin. All right, one more before we take a break. Guess what? The first mock draft is out. Daniel Jeremiah, a man who works for NFL Network, is a man, as I understand, of high esteem in the draft world, a man who may or may not have a podcast. No one truly knows. However, Mock Draft 1.0 came out. Fernando Mendoza, number 1 to the Raiders. Nobody's surprised about the Heisman Trophy winner, the national champion, Mendoza at number 1. And then you look at the rest of the first round. And by the way, all of our teams on this show are in the top 6. Right now it's Arvell Reese, the edge from Ohio State, to the Jets at 2. And then you have Spencer Fano, the tackle from Utah, to the Cards. We got Jason's team in there. We got Francis Mayuga. Help me out with that one, Justin. The tackle from Miami.
Terrible pick. The Titans aren't taking a tackle from Miami. Sorry. Continue.
Okay.
I think you meant pronunciation 5, there more than the Titans deep dive, but
yeah, this is one of those drafts where every name is going to be a challenge. Number 5, the Giants mocked getting the cornerback from LSU, Mansour Delane. Number 6 to the Browns, edge from Texas Tech, David Bailey. Number 7 to the Commanders, Sonny Styles. Now that's a name I can get behind. The linebacker from Ohio State. Number 8, we have a running back. Oh, get ready. People love talking about running backs in leads up to draft. And from Notre Dame, Connor's Notre Dame, the running back, Jeremiah Love, to the Saints, the new Reggie Bush over there. That makes sense for them. The Chiefs in the top 10, if you believe it, they would take Reuben Bain Jr., the edge from Miami, according to DJ. And the Bengals at 10 would take Jermod McCoy, cornerback, Tennessee. Obviously, there's something that jumps out here. Bad news if you're a fan of the Jets like me, or the Browns like Mark. There's no quarterback in the top 10 in this first mock other than Mendoza. And if I'm going to count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the 10 picks, defensive players in this mock. This is going to change. It's obviously very unlikely to be the top 10 or maybe something even close to it, but a little snapshot as that process is soon to begin.
I mean, it's almost as if Cleveland's, as I said, utterly meaningless season closing hollow victories over a dead Steelers and dead Bengals team resulted in them not getting the top quarterback in this mock, missing out on the top 2 offensive tackles,
66 minutes to the
and
fire
the
alarm.
top edge. So you're stuck at number 6 with nothing that you need.
Oh, let's be fair. The Browns need plenty. We're not getting the quarterback this year, Mark.
They would have gotten the quarterback had they lost those 2 meaningless games. They would have had the number 1 pick.
Your defense was too good.
It is a soup of BS. I am at the edge on this.
I absolutely. I've been in the same boat when you win meaningless shit. I would have had Trevor Lawrence if a 1-15 Jets team didn't win in LA against the Rams all those years ago and got Zach Wilson instead. But this year, it was going to be very hard to top the Raiders. especially because that Browns team, for as bad as that team was, they played really good defense. And
but
had
they
Myles
would have
Garrett.
they lost to the Raiders. They would have had the number one pick.
I get it.
It wouldn't have been hard. They're a terrible football team,
and they did. You know?
Well,
Yeah, the worst team in the league got the number one pick. The Browns, as bad as they weren't the worst team. They don't deserve to have the top
Not
pick.
a miscarriage of justice. Just a frustration.
I completely disagree, and they're going to get stuck with their defensive coach as their head coach because of it. It is a trickle-down effect that will mark this team for another 3 to 4 years.
Mark, we don't have to take our schwanzes out on this one, but my team set the record for double-digit losses in the last month.
I don't want to hear about
and
it.
Didn't wait,
I don't want to hear
didn't
about
have
the
an
pecking order on
interception
this.
the entire season, and I still didn't get the number one pick.
I've heard about the Jets for 4,000 years. The Browns are in a terrible situation.
I'm simply
right
pointing
now.
out, no one's feeling bad that the Browns didn't get the first pick. If no one's feeling bad for my team, just eat it. We're losers. It's always going to be that way. Just deal with our reality. That's all I'm saying.
I want a different reality. I don't believe in that reality.
I like the episodes where mom and dad are fighting. The couple things here. This is a bad draft class. It's a bad draft class. Everybody that's down at the Senior Bowl is already kind of talking about it. And I think we talked about it after the trade deadline show, if I remember correctly, that everybody wants to be in 2027. And so if you're the Jets or you're the Browns, clearly the move here, and it's going to be hard because there's no quarterbacks, and the absence of that is really impacting the market. But you got to kind of take the L this year, and you got to get into 2027. That's where you're going to build your roster and build your team. I just don't think this is.
And that's
draft.
a very difficult position to be in, especially if you're coming off a long run of losing or a truly terrible season, and then really to turn this thing around, you almost have to be worse or close to it again for a season that doesn't even start for 9 months. It's a tough situation.
And coaches don't think that way. They're like putting their houses on the market because one more year of what they've been will be the end.
And by the way, not coincidentally, the Browns can't find a head coach and the Jets can't find a coordinator. Like, this is not these teams are not in good places right now. All right, let's take a break. And when we get back, we spin through the coaching cycle and see where all that stands on the end around. Stay right there.
Thank you for calling the Bombas Comfort Line. Bombas make socks, slippers, tees, and underwear made with the highest quality materials. Press 1 for comfort, 2 for style, 3 for donation. You chose style. Bombas has styles for whatever you enjoy. You can run in Bombas, lounge in Bombas, dress them up, dress them down, but always give back in Bombas. Because with every item purchased, another is donated. Bombas, comfort worth calling for. Go to bombas.com/audio and use code AUDIO for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com and use code AUDIO.
Is this how your world sounds?
It doesn't have to. Hi, I'm Dr. Emily Russell, lead audiologist at Hear.com. When it comes to restoring your hearing, Hear.com offers America's #1 rated hearing aids that are tailored to your specific needs. Our German engineers have excelled in creating the most clear, natural sound, providing an unparalleled listening experience. Visit Hear.com today to start your 45-day no-risk hearing aid trial. That's Hear.com.
All right, we are back. How we doing on the clock? The fire alarm clock. All right, we are 62 minutes away, Mark. We got a lot to get to.
Well, you guys do. I mean, I'll just log off if I need to. That's what's going to happen. So,
all right, let's start with the big news around the Buffalo Bills. Phillip Rivers was being discussed. All sorts of people are being discussed. But in the end, the Bills promote from within, tabbing OC Joe Brady as their new head coach. He takes over, obviously, for Sean McDermott. Jaguars OC Grant Udinski was a candidate for the Bills job. He also agreed to a new contract with the Jaguars to stay there with a raise for 2026. And now that Brady has been hired as the Bills head coach, Udinski is, in fact, heading back to Jacksonville per Adam Schefter. What do we think about this hire, Connor?
It's interesting because it strikes me as sort of a cousin of, and not to get Justin all rustled up, but the Vrabel firing, right? Where you're betting on culture and alignment from the owner and the general manager trickling down to the team and being harmonized with the hire that you make versus the track record of someone who's won a lot of games and rightfully so wants an increasingly larger footprint within the organization. And the great thing about the NFL, because it happened in New England, it happened with the Titans job, is we get to find out who's right. There is no gray area, right? Either Sean McDermott's going to, in the next coaching cycle, take another bad team like the Bills and turn them around, or he's not. Either the Bills are going to break through this AFC title game wall, or they're not. And we can see whether this is a GM in over his skis, an owner that's in over his skis, or if the Bills are like the Eagles, right? Which is the other example here. Are they Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie, where they seem to have some sort of a sixth sense of when a good coach simply reaches his expiration point? And that's what I love about this whole situation. Everybody's onions are on the table.
That's a great way to put it. I mean, there's definitely not a Jeffrey Lurie here from what I'm seeing from a distance. But it's the question, if you're frustrated by this as a Bills fan, you could be because what you removed from the equation is one of the league's best defensive coaches. Everything's sort of the same, except you removed Sean McDermott. Like it got to me, it just feels like Brandon Beane and the owner came to a conclusion, and maybe there were others, that the Sean McDermott experience had run out and they didn't want to lose Joe Brady to the Ravens or a head coaching situation somewhere else. And here you go. But like, you haven't gotten better because you took one of the league's better defensive play callers out of the scheme. Sean McDermott did a lot for this team, and it's kind of like you can scapegoat him, but to Conor's point, you got to go do what he did, Joe Brady now. You were in-house. You were so-called one of these coaches that liked Keon Coleman, which I don't buy that whole narrative anyways, but you've got to go do what your predecessor did, which is very tough sometimes.
Yeah, but the organization also has to help the coach in the way they didn't help McDermott as much. Get better players on the defensive side of the ball. Get a defensive coordinator that can coach him up. And I don't have a problem with the hire. He's a young coach. He is tight with Josh Allen. Josh Allen was in the process for this hire. You're never going to lose your play caller when he's your head coach. All those things, that they feel like it works. Since he took over as the play caller in Week 11, 2023, the Bills have ranked first in EPA per play, second in points per game, 9 games with 30-plus points this season. Let's see. Can he make the transition to the big chair? We'll see. But they need more players, especially on that defensive side of the ball, and we'll see if they can figure it out. But that is the move in Buffalo. Let's move on to the Ravens. They do indeed hire Jesse Minter to be their new head coach. Minter was on Baltimore's staff 2017 to 2020. Also worked for the other Harbaugh, Jim, during his successful college run at Michigan. So Minter is the choice, Mark, in Baltimore. With this team, I've come to expect that they make the right choices. So just reflexively, this will be hailed as the right move by the Ravens. How do you feel about it?
There's a lot of synergy between, as you mentioned, the Harbaughs and Minter. Minter also was part of Michigan right around the time that Mike McDonald was, and part of the Ravens before McDonald was there. So they know who they like. And I think this comes with deep trust. The Ravens, it sure sounds like the Eric DeCostas, the Steve Bisciottis, the Ozzie Newsome is still there in an executive role. And even our friend Sashi Brown, who somehow became the team president. Let's check that in on that one another time. But that they saw a lot of growth between Minter when he was in Baltimore, and then went and did what he did, especially in LA, and came back as the best possible candidate. And it's kind of like, what can I say to suggest this just won't work out? Because they went and got a guy who could be there for 15 years. He fits the mold. He knows the organization. There's no surprises with who he is as a person. That's how the Ravens do it compared to a third of the league.
I think it's a recognition too of what's working right now. And while you can say maybe they were a year late to the party or 2 years late to the party, because we've heard rumblings about Harbaugh's contract when Mike McDonald was still with the Ravens, we're in that period now where you can weaponize a defense unlike any way that you have before. There's growth in different areas, whether you're intercepting signals legally, whether you're just understanding Shanahan and McVay schemes better and kind of employing these tactics that can shut them down. Minter is one of the poster children for that over the last 2 years. He's evolved every one of the players on his roster, maximized every one of the players on his roster. I think when it's all said and done, we'll look at that and say that was probably the best hire this cycle.
In other news, also in the AFC North, a big move made. This happened over the weekend. Mike McCarthy is named the new head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers 16 years after beating Mike Tomlin in the Super Bowl. A homecoming for McCarthy. This is a move that was roundly panned in the national media, which I get because he's an easy target for people, Zaddy. So let's see how it goes. It certainly does go in the opposite direction of what many people expected the Steelers to do, which is to, as they did with Bill Cowher and Mike Tomlin and even Chuck Noll way back in the late 60s, is hire a young guy and build that way. That is not obviously Mike McCarthy, who's been around forever. Here was a little bit of Mike McCarthy in his introductory press conference today in Pittsburgh.
I understand and embrace the responsibility, the privilege, and the weight that comes with this stewardship. This city, this franchise, this fan base means the world to me. Because Pittsburgh's my world, and it's just awesome to be back here.
Go ahead. Let it begin.
Zaddy, you're so extra.
I'll say this about this situation, okay? Between 2006 and 2021, we had a coach who's now 62 who won 152 games and made 8 playoff appearances, 1 Super Bowl. That hire was celebrated from the rooftops by everybody, and this was a slam dunk. We have another 62-year-old, Mike McCarthy, in that same time frame, won 155 games, 11 playoff appearances, and 1 Super Bowl. Why are we saying that this is a terrible decision and that Sean Payton was one of the best moves that the Broncos could have possibly made?
I think it hurt McCarthy, the end of the Packers run. And there are people out there, I think it was your friend, Tyler Dunn, who had an NFL source tell him that Mike McCarthy had a low football IQ and that it caused problems between him and Aaron Rodgers. Now, we're not here to judge anyone's football IQ from the inside. I think Mike McCarthy took that year off and tried to change and did well with the Cowboys, but I think it's just a low Q rating hire for a lot of people. That you go from Tomlin, you want Nate Shieldhouse, you want someone young that's like going to be there for the pattern of the Steelers, be there for 15, 20 years. It's a team with no quarterback. All their money is on defense. They're old. Is Mike McCarthy the kind of brain, the kind of evolutionary force you want to pull them out of that? I think the Rooneys don't want to. What
does that even mean? Low football IQ. The guy that's been involved with the sport.
I didn't make the statement.
For his whole life,
Zaddy,
who has been successful anywhere he goes, and then he gets tagged with something that, by the way, has Aaron Rodgers' DNA all over it, like this guy that views himself as the genius Lanny Poffo. He's not smart enough for me. He's not smart enough to be successful. It was when you were hoisting the Lombardi trophy at one point. I don't quite understand why. That's the type of cheap shot that I would expect from, a scene in Green Bay that got really toxic. Remember when they smeared him about him getting massages or something?
Yeah.
While there was meetings going on. That's sometimes the nasty business in the league. I'm not here to say it was a great hire. I think it was a great way to set it up, Connor, that he has pelts on the wall, just like Sean did in Denver. And in Dallas, his last stop, which is not an easy place to coach. We all talk about that all the time. He had 3 consecutive 12-win seasons before things fell apart and he got fired. Like, there are worse hires that you can make than Mike McCarthy. And yet it was universally greeted like the Steelers had somehow created this ultimate sin in the hiring cycle. And I'm just not quite there.
And look at the hires that Mike McCarthy was able to make in Dallas. I mean, he eventually brought in Kellen Moore, who's now a rising head coach. He brought in Dan Quinn when the defense was broken. Dan Quinn's now back to being a head coach. He can draw in good coordinators, whereas that Pittsburgh OC role has been absolute quicksand over the last few years. And I think that they needed to do something there. They needed to pivot.
I think it's stability, and the Rooneys don't want to go through a 4-year rebuild. They just never do. I guess the thing is would you pick, if you were point blank, Mike McCarthy over Mike Tomlin, or is it just another AFC North team that came to the end of the road with the experience of their head coach?
I think part of it also is, a lot of it is perception, especially like what's happened in the league in recent years. Like, it's a smart hire if you hire Grant Udinski or Nate Shieldhouse, and they could be. Those guys can end up being great head coaches. But if you go and get a guy that's been through the cycle a couple times and been fired before, you're seen as not a forward-thinking organization. Meanwhile, maybe the Steelers are good at this, picking head coaches. I mean, again, I'm not out here saying what a home run hire. In fact, it plays right into what I've been saying about the Steelers on the show for years, this cul-de-sac of elite mediocrity. You bring in Mike McCarthy. Does that mean Aaron Rodgers comes back too, his old buddy? Maybe not, considering how things ended in Green Bay. But it doesn't seem like a team that's ready to tear it down and re-envision what they are. So I get that side of it. But this is also not some guy that's this is not like hiring Nathaniel Hackett or something. And that's kind of how it was positioned when the hire was made, that it was just this massive boner of a move. Yes, Justin.
Reporter asked Mike McCarthy during the intro presser, in your best case scenario, do you want Aaron Rodgers back as your quarterback next year? McCarthy responded, definitely. I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't. I watched most of the Pittsburgh games on TV, and I thought he was a great asset for the team. Is this legit?
What's he going to say?
Is this Josh Rosen as our quarterback? Like, what, we don't know, but
I agree with Mark. You kind of have to take the high ground and not try to say something. He could have said a little bit less potentially if this was just politicking and make it not sound like he can't wait to play coach him again. But yeah, I wouldn't say that means anything, right? Does anybody think that Rodgers is definitely back? I'm not there.
I think that this is the easiest way to stay off Pat McAfee negatively, right? And just not be Aaron Glenn, who
right.
Had
I think
Rodgers
he appears on that show regularly as well.
He did during his entire off year.
Yes. Yep. Look at this headline over on SI. Mike McCarthy's hire in Pittsburgh makes a lot of sense. If you examine the facts. Let's go, Connor. Love being on Connor Take Island. Let's have some Mai Tais on Connor Take Island together.
It also suggests many people are not examining facts compared to Conor Orr.
I don't know if they are. I think it's a great little hook there for a column, buddy. That's why you're one of the best in the business.
Thank you.
How lucky we are to have Connor. You know, I gave Connor a little love on text yesterday. Like the color that he gave us on the Sunday night show from Mile High, one of the more unique title games of all time. What an asset having a proven reporter, and a great communicator.
A+.
It was not to continue this circle jerk, but
it's mostly us jerking you. But go on,
yeah, the best kind. But it was like going from like the best day ever and the best game ever to just being able to hang out with your buddies and talk about it after. And it was one of those nights where at the end of the night you're ordering DoorDash and you're just sitting there in your hotel room and you're like, I did something right in a previous life. I really did. You know.
Well said. I also had that, like, so many people is a great thing that was going on around the internet for like super Oasis fans like me. Like when they got together and then had this incredibly successful and fun reunion tour, there was a little bit of a hangover after it was over because you had been excited for it for so long, and then the day was so fun, and then you had the post Live 25 hangover. When it's Seahawks 40, Patriots 10 a week from Sunday, maybe you're going to come down to earth a little bit from the excitement of the AFC title game.
That's okay though, but I got one, and I've said this before, but the original blowout Super Bowls are the best for me personally because we're on deadline and
from the writer angle. Yep.
Yeah, if you can write at halftime, I mean, God. And then you think about the Seahawks Patriots Super Bowl, and you're trying to write something immediately after that, and you have Wes, God love him, jumping up and down and screaming in that little press box that we had, like just yelping like a chihuahua, and you're just like, holy shit, how are we gonna do
what a play?
He's like, oh my God, you know.
I can't believe it.
He had to buy a winter hat when we were 10 years ago in Santa Clara because it was whipping winds, and like he had documents flying out of the press box. And there's him in a black, and it was for some reason it was like black and gold. It was like a Steelers hat. The old Bengals fan.
My favorite, like Wes needing winter gear in a big spot, was when his luggage got lost for the New York Super Bowl. I believe it was.
Yes.
Or was it the air conditioner Super Bowl at the Superdome?
No, because we were down.
Freezing?
Wes and I were down in Jersey City while you and the rest of the NFL media were up in like a swank hotel, and we were in like a Russian outpost.
Yes, a Russian
no
outpost.
coat.
Yes. But Wes was given the green light to get a hoodie from the merch shop to get reimbursed, but instead he got like the $200 like ski jacket that went down to his knees. And then when he filed the expense report, they were like, "Bro, we're not going to reimburse you for like a $200 luxury item."
He got Heisman. You had to pay the whole thing.
I once in San Francisco, there was one of those cold storm games, and we were in the Aux press box, which was in the parking lot, just underneath a tent. And I'm not going to say who, but a Hall of Fame NFL sports writer went to the 49ers gift shop and bought a Snuggie. Do you remember when Snuggies were popular? And wrapped himself in a gold and red Snuggie from head to toe, looking like your girlfriend just lounging on Saturday watching Netflix. And it was one of my favorites.
That's a man with zero pride. Yeah. Zero pride. All right. Here we go. All right. You ready, Mark? Anxiety meter. Grant Udinski becomes the 4th head coach candidate to withdraw his name from the Browns head coach opening. He joins the likes of Mike McDaniel, Jesse Minter, Chris Shula, Jimmy Haslam, reportedly trying to force prospective head coaches to commit to Jim Schwartz as the DC. Udinski reportedly had a different DC in mind, leading to his withdrawal. Nate Shieldhouse also has another option in mind. This is all kind of speculation out there. And without further ado, before we throw it to Mark, let's get our ducks in a row.
Good afternoon, and thank you for holding. I have Marc Sessler on the line from Quiet Storm Crisis Management. We're patching Mark through right now.
Okay, Mark, there you go.
Yeah, you think I'm going to solve this crisis?
Well, you're on the payroll to do so. What would you do? How would you solve it? What's the move here?
I am in a humanly annoyed state right now. Like, I can play the phone guy if you want, but I really want to tell you something.
Wait a second. No. Wait a second. Humanly annoyed state. Amazing. Like, if the Browns actually hired you as a consultant,
here's what I would do.
What would you do?
The number one problem is it's who's hiring me, and it's Jimmy Haslam.
Right.
Like this, we talk about these teams all the time. It is Mordor. It is the core of the earth. And how do you remove the core of the earth from a dying organization? And I think Andrew Berry is not been empowered to even pick his own guy. You're stuck with candidates who are being told you've got to accept Jim Schwartz, a Haslam guy, from what I'm hearing, entirely. And they've got their own ideas and their own friendships and their own staffs. And if I'm Nate Shieldhouse, what do? Do you go into this mess, or do you stay in LA and rise up in the Rams organization and wait a year to get a job with a team that's not the Cleveland Browns? I think that Nate Shieldhouse and Grant Udinski are completely right to not take this job with the way this process has gone. And the Browns are going to get stuck with Jim Schwartz, who on his own is a good coordinator, but you're trying to sell this process to the Cleveland Brown fan base. I will say, and I am not a woe is me person when it comes to the Browns. I'm really not. Like, I want to get excited about a Nate Shieldhouse or a Grant Udinski, and it got me there a little bit. But in the end, the organization is broken. If you're a candidate, you have questions about the owner, you have no QB, you've got a sitting GM who has the owner's ear, and you are deep in cap hell. They are deep in the red. There's nothing to look for here. And so I think it's a patch. You take Jim Schwartz and get through a terrible era of Browns football. But the bigger issue is the owner, who seemed more patient, has his fingers all over this failed weeks-long process, which has boiled into an embarrassment.
Okay, and I obviously get your frustration. Let me offer what I would do if they hired me. I would go with Andrew Berry. I would confer with him privately and be like, we got to talk to this fucking bozo owner, and we have to tell them, if we want to get a guy that is going to move this organization in the right place, and we want to hire somebody that actually wants to be here, we have to do things that make the job more attractive. And we all love Jim Schwartz, and Jim Schwartz's defense was great last year. But check out the data, Jimmy. Get out of your 18-wheeler and take a look at the data. The defenses have major regression year to year. And to act as if not having Jim Schwartz next year dooms the Browns to go to the bottom of the defense, or keeping him ensures they're a top 5 defense, is the type of thinking that a bonehead owner who thinks he knows what he's doing would adhere to. So this is what we got to do. Jimmy, Andrew here, and I'm Marc Sessler of Crisis Management. I just got promoted, and you've empowered me on this process. We all would like Jimmy in the building, but we would like a young, on-the-rise head coach in the building more that we believe in on the offensive side of the ball. Trust us to find a defensive coordinator or work with him if we can't get Jim to stay, but you can't force them to take the DC because that's not how it works for successful organizations.
I will say quickly, I think that for over a decade, certain people, the Paul DePodestas, the Andrew Berrys, and others have tried to have that conversation with an owner that won't listen. You're not going to roll in there like Don Draper and change everyone's mind. He's deeply involved in this process. And Andrew Berry, they've gotten this far with these young candidates because there is a thinking inside the building to go do this. But he will not. I believe he is what's stopping it. That I don't know that. It's what I believe because he's stopped good decisions from being made for 13 years at this point.
But it doesn't mean somebody's got to get through to him like, hey, check out your results for 20, 15 years as an owner. Also, there's a report out there that they are, Conor, I don't know how unusual this is, that all the paperwork they're asking for these coaches to fill out about like essays and like personality tests. Like, is this something unusual? Because again, in defense of the Browns, sometimes these teams in the gutter, they just get dragged for things that other teams do as well, just because it sounds funny. Is this something unique to the Browns or something that's out there having a kind of a written component and a paperwork component to a coach search?
There have been teams like recently who have evolved into like doing live game management situation testing, which I think is certainly valuable. But I'm wondering if are you guys up for a good conspiracy theory that might actually leave Mark feeling a little bit better? Okay,
please.
All right, let me try this one on for size. Okay, and here's why I think that this might be an interesting play if you're Cleveland, because this year is torture, right? You're not going to get a quarterback in the draft. You're not going to get a quarterback in free agency that's worth your salt. But what you did during this process accomplish is you interviewed Nate Scheelhaase, you interviewed Grant Udinski, you interviewed all of these young, hot offensive names and Mike McDaniel, knowing or being pretty sure that they were going to go back to their teams and get another year of seasoning. So is this move essentially a 1-year recognition of how bad this is, and then you completely blow the whole thing to hell after that, and you already have all your intel on Scheelhaase, on Udinski, on all these guys, and they've got another year of experience? Because, like, for example, if Mike LaFleur gets the Cardinals job, Nate Scheelhaase is going to be Sean McVay's OC, which is like essentially your, like the greatest position to be not as a head coach in the NFL. And Cleveland may just be laying the groundwork for the 2027 search, knowing full well that their job is incredibly unattractive right now. That's just a thought. So
I think that's got to be in the realm of, and I won't go on for an hour here, but like Andrew Berry thinks that way. He thinks that way with his cap. He thinks that way with personnel moves. And
they literally paid Hugh Jackson to lose games, cash. Like I have the sheets of paper with the payment amounts on it. Or,
they did the Brock Osweiler trade. But, they all think differently, and I think that like there's a chance. Nate Scheelhaase, from when we started the show, is still vaguely a candidate. We'll see what happens there. But if you kept Jim Schwartz and a lot of the existing staff, you're not maybe paying as much as you would to a new group of coaches. But to kick the can down the road when you're the Cleveland Browns assumes that you get 19 other things right between now and next offseason. And that's where they fall apart. This last season was meant to be that year. They stockpiled draft picks. They draft well last season. They have a lot of young players, and like they were a dead zone a year ago. So 2 years in a row of that is it's a lot, but
in related news, the Falcons introduced Kevin Stefanski. Here's a little from his press conference.
I'm so excited about what we're doing at the Atlanta Falcons in 2026 and what we're going to be about. And I know this, you're going to get the best version of me as we get going here. You're also going to get somebody that's going to grow every single day that I'm in this profession, somebody that I'm going to push myself. I'm going to have a staff around me that's going to push me. And to our fans, I want them to know that we're going to put our heads down and we're going to work.
Yeah, and obviously, I think it almost doesn't need to be said, but scapegoating that guy out of your building and then putting yourself in this position, these are the mistakes that bad organizations make, and you get stuck in this infinite loop of dysfunction as a result.
I'm going to say something too that, and Mark, you may disagree with me on this, but I mean, you had Kyle Shanahan in your building a couple years ago or whatever it was, and losing him and Mike McDaniel and all that on his staff. I don't think losing Tommy Rees, who's going to be calling plays for the Falcons, is going to be quite at that level. But I guarantee in the next 5 years, Tommy Rees is an NFL head coach and a good one at that.
But the Browns have had 45 current head coaches on their roster and over the past decade, so...
Okay, let's move on to real quick. So the Browns still got to fill their job. The Cardinals and the Raiders also still looking to fill their posts. So the head coach finalists there, Raheem Morris, Mike LaFleur, Anthony Weaver for the Cardinals. For the Raiders, they've conducted second interviews with Joe Brady, Davis Webb, Ejiro Evero, and Brian Dable. And if you noticed, I saw it was a fun headline, I think an awful announcing, highlighting the, quote, tongue bath that Tom Brady gave Seahawks offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak during the NFC title game. So don't count out Kubiak being a guy that enters the Raiders fray once Super Bowl Sunday passes and they can make that higher. Keep an eye on that. Let's take a break. And when we get back, we finish out this end around.
We're a few weeks into the new year, and I want to check in. How are those lifestyle resets going? Maybe you're tightening up your exercise routine, finally learning that new skill, or attempting to eat a bit healthier. We all know that starting the year strong is a lot easier and much more delicious when you have the right fuel. That's where Omaha Steaks come in. Stay satisfied, keep your energy up, and fuel your daily routine with premium portion proteins delivered right to your door. Omaha Steaks have been America's original butcher since 1917. We're talking about 5 generations of uncompromising quality, backed by an unconditional 100% money-back guarantee. Their variety is unmatched. From handcrafted USDA-certified tender steaks to gourmet burgers, seafood, and versatile chicken, every steak is perfectly aged to maximize tenderness and hand-cut by master butchers. Let Omaha Steaks deliver high-quality proteins right to your door. Visit omahasteaks.com and get an extra $35 off with promo code T-Bone at checkout. That's OMAHA steaks.com. Promo code T-Bone. Terms apply. See site for details.
Guys, by now you've heard me talk about Collars & Co., makers of the dress collar polo. They've already sold over 1 million of these amazing shirts. Well, Collars & Co. just came out with the new Maverick Performance Blazer. This blazer is sharp and wrinkle resistant, so you can travel anywhere with it. Just throw it in your bag and it will remain wrinkle-free. It even comes with security zip pockets, a sunglasses loop, and an optional pocket square. So visit collarsandco.com and use code TIKI for 20% off at collarsandco.com.
Behold, the world's smartest man, so masculine and proud, the epitome of genius, amazingly endowed. A one-man wrestling renaissance, just let your heart rejoice and bathe in all the luxury of my poetic voice. The best of my competitors are so inferior. I far outthink their greatest thoughts with my posterior. And when the bell has sounded on my stunning victory, I'll view that messy spot where my opponent used to be. The aristocratic pleasure of inflicting so much pain gives rise to so much passion, it is bordered on insane. Although my verse may seem perverse to every foe and fan, I'm still the genius Lanny Poffo, the world's smartest man.
I forgot that the genius was so zesty.
It's bringing back memories now. If he didn't read that off of like cue cards or a teleprompter, I am genuinely impressed.
He passed away, I believe, last year. And again, that's Macho Man's brother, Randy Savage. Seemed like a very intelligent man, and some of the best promos ever cut by the genius. All right, let's see. Man, I want to preface this one, Mark, because we just got out of some bad Browns talk. That I don't think this is on the Browns at all. This is a sign of the times. The Pro Bowl is still a thing. It takes place on Tuesday, February 3rd. And with Drake May's ascension to the Super Bowl, they had to fill his roster spot. And who do they use? They go down the list of remaining candidates for the Pro Bowl, and they select Shedeur Sanders, the 5th-round pick rookie, who obviously did not do much for the Browns, had a couple moments, but obviously you look at his numbers, his underlying analytics, nothing about him was special in year one, and yet now you could always affix Pro Bowler Shedeur Sanders to his name. I think my take here is that I think speaking of inciting moment and inflection points, it's time to change this. And I can't believe I'm citing this man as someone that makes a salient point, but former Chargers pass rusher Sean Merriman on Twitter posted something that I think everyone can agree with on this. He was a former, stud pass rusher, not a great guy, but and he had this to say. I have a Pro Bowl helmet that I walk by almost every day. It's signed by some of the best players in the history of the NFL, legends, Hall of Famers, and real GOATs. The Pro Bowl used to be a badge of honor and respected. Things have changed. And, it's...
Well, there's more.
Oh, there's more. We've included a reply from someone named Dave. You sound like a little bitch. Sean Merriman, been hanging around your dad too much. My bad.
My bad is the best part of that.
Interesting. His greater point, though, stands. The Pro Bowl didn't used to mean something. It used to be something that identified who the best players in the league were, just like the All-Pro listed. Let the All-Pro list be that indicator, and just call these the NFL games or whatever you want to call it. It's time to move away from that because it's confusing to people who have followed the game for a long time.
I totally agree. Like, I'm not going down Browns Boulevard with this. Like, it's one of those days where I was like, I'm just going to log off of Twitter for the next 6 hours because this is going to turn into something else. I will say, if I had one conspiracy theory, because it's turned into like a flag football game in events. Like, what gets eyeballs on this? Is it Riley Leonard or Geno Smith at this point, or is it Shedeur Sanders? Like, Shedeur Sanders led the league at one point in jersey sales. No matter what you think about him, like, this is a marketing, not creation, but he's a marketing whirlwind, and I think he could get newer fans to watch the Pro Bowl or whatever it is at this point, and that may be what they did here.
I also think it speaks a little bit to the lack of depth of quality quarterback play, because so if you look, whatever, it's Herbert, it's Drake May, and it's Josh Allen. So you look at, let's pull up like EPA, the composite of EPA and completion percentage over expectation. After that, if you take out quarterbacks who are hurt, like Patrick Mahomes can't do it. Who's
Cam Ward, shoulder injury, he can't do it.
Like,
what about Trevor Lawrence? Did he get an invite and decline it? Because I didn't know he was hurt.
Well, he might have been banged up at the end of the season too, or might not know the full extent of it yet. But like Tua, I mean, Joe Flacco, you know what I mean?
Like, what kind of, Phillip Rivers,
it's not
Justin Fields.
I'm not defending the NFL. It's a naked marketing grab here for that game, and I think it does take away from the seriousness of it. But at the same time, like, yikes! Like the AFC is in a little bit of a dire straits here.
Yeah, and to my point about the fact that he may not be popular with a bunch of sports writers, but Saquon, Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels, and Josh Allen were the only people who ranked ahead of Shedeur Sanders in jersey sales. He was the number one rookie. So no matter what anyone thinks, like, from an NFL, what does NFL see? Dollar signs. Like, you want to get him out there in a flag football game and he plays well or he plays at all, like, that's going to get people to turn on the set more than a lot of other of these people we're talking about.
In
Not
other
you.
news, yeah, I guess I struggle to connect with Shedeur Sanders like driving people to this telecast.
I mean, I'm pointing to sales of actual NFL merchandise.
But that's equally stunning to me that his jersey would be that popular. I don't know. I'm not like a big college guy, so maybe I'm underestimating how popular he was a figure at Colorado. But yeah, I don't know.
My issue with this whole thing is that fans and us, analysts and fans, both know that the Pro Bowl has turned into pretty much a joke that nobody cares to watch. But NFL front offices and players still care about it because they still make a Pro Bowl as like a $500,000, $1 million, whatever contract incentive. Like, there has to be some legitimization to that aspect. Otherwise, what do we do? It's like,
it's a great point.
It doesn't make any sense.
Is that true? Like, I understand there's an initial Pro Bowl like selection, but if you're like the fifth alternate, if you're Shedeur Sanders, does that toll a contract a clause
it wouldn't
at the same
in his
level?
case because he's got a boilerplate rookie contract. So my guess is something like that wouldn't be in there.
There's got to be some levels to that.
Right.
And how annoyed would you be if you were a team that had a quarterback who didn't do anything impressive, and then you end up having to pay more money because it triggers a clause for this broken event?
Tyrod Taylor, baby. from the Bills.
Snoop Huntley.
Snoop Huntley,
I don't know if he had language in his contract. I hope he did. I hope Snoop got the bag for that. Language. Let's see. Matthew Stafford, will he return in 2026? On the Let's Go podcast, Stafford said he will take, quote, some time to figure out plans for 2026. If he plays, he's in line for a huge raise, Mike Florio adds in his analysis of the situation. Here's Sean McVay. Was this right after the game? Yeah, I'm sure Sean McVay did not want to talk about this after losing a chance to go to the Super Bowl. Let's hear what he said.
Yeah, if he still wants to play, what the hell kind of question is that? The answer, yeah. You have to ask him. We've been totally present. I know that if he wants to, he's still playing at a pretty damn good clip. He's the MVP of the league, and if he's not, I got respect for everybody else, but this guy played at a level that's just different. I appreciate you guys this year. Thank you.
He was pissed.
That's how he ends it. That's great.
Also, you did drag it to the point where he was basically a free agent, so let's not act like that was an insane question. And now you want him back because he played at an incredible clip, like he was almost a Giant or a Raider. So
right, he's being dangled in trade talks a year ago. Yeah. All right, I'm going to rip through coordinator corner. If you want to get Justin's thoughts on the Dable hire, we can do two things because we have this fire alarm going on, this situation. Do we want to give Justin a minute on Dable, or do we want to drive people towards Los Titans forever? Infinity?
I think we can give him even maybe a little bit more than a minute. Around that time, because we're doing pretty well on the clock from what I see.
Okay. All right. 90 seconds. Important to him. Justin, 90 seconds reaction. Let's start right here. The Titans are expected to hire Brian Dable as OC. So this looks like it's going to be a Robert Saleh, Brian Dable poo-poo platter in Nashville. Go.
I think this is the ideal hire for Tennessee. They need somebody who can be a head coach of the offense because Saleh is obviously a defensive guy. Dable, no doubt, has the ability to do that, just was the head coach of the whole team of the New York Giants, was a brilliant OC with the Bills. His history pre-Bills is not great, but he also never even had a full season where he got to start the same quarterback, so tough to judge him on that. I think a guy that's going to get the most out of Cam Ward, and it's a crucial development year for Cam Ward, even if Daboll takes a head coaching job in 2027, which I'm honestly kind of skeptical will be available to him. But hey, if the Titans are amazing this year, maybe. I think this is a great hire. I think the Titans are going to be very well set up to have a good, potent offense and a constricting defense under Robert Saleh. So I am psyched.
I think they came out of this. Like I said, I don't think Saleh's a good head coach, but he could develop. Maybe he gets better and maybe in a more functional environment. I don't know if that's Tennessee, but maybe it is. He gets better. Dable's a very good hire. Could you make the argument that they'd be better off flipping Dable and Saleh? Perhaps. They'll have Saleh as the DC who's not going anywhere, and Dable as the guy that doesn't go anywhere as the play caller. But we're not gonna split hairs here. I'm happy for you, Justin.
Thanks. Yeah, I think both guys have about the same chances of moving. If they were flipped, it would have the same amount of chance of moving on and getting another chance as a head coach. I think Daboll's ego and management of his emotions on the sideline and all the stuff with Jackson Dart and the medical tent and blah, blah, blah. Some of those things would scare me if I was a team trying to hire him as head coach. He might be one of those guys who's perfect as an OC and Peter principled out at the head coach level. That won't stop teams from trying to hire him in 2 or 3 years if Cam Ward turns out to be amazing, but that's kind of what I think.
One thing I know, Marc Sessler, is I certainly have a type. Men with hair need not apply. The shinier the dome, the more you're allowed in my home.
Yeah, baby.
We're going to find out if this Mr. Daboll is a front or back spoon real fast down by my pool.
Kayvon, if you want to go get a front row seat, need not apply too much hair.
I saw a reader out there didn't like when I appeared on the show, but I'm going to keep appearing because I own the Titans, and these men are at my command.
Bring me my horses. I like to watch them eat the grass. And pour me another daiquiri while you're at it.
Go, pool boy, go.
Packers hire Cardinals head coach, former Cardinals head coach Jonathan Gannon as DC. Dolphins promote Bobby Slowick to OC. Hire former Bills special teams coordinator Chris Tabor as their new special teams coordinator. I know. Can I just make a system announcement here? I know special teams coordinators are very important, but I'm going to skip them the rest of the rundown. Everyone else could seek out the special teams coordinators for the rest of the program and moving forward. Commanders hire Vikings pass game coordinator Durante Jones as their DC. Let's see. Arthur Smith, formerly of the Steelers OC post, is off to Ohio State as the OC there. Still no news on the offense coordinator job with the Eagles, or it hasn't been filled. And last note here, speaking of dysfunction, the Jets have been looking for a DC, haven't been able to find it. We learned just during taping today that Aaron Glenn and offensive coordinator Tanner Engstrand have parted ways. And if you are, I can only imagine in the Jet blogs and podcasts, there's a lot of freaking out because the idea was that Engstrand actually showed something despite being in a very difficult position. So naturally the Jets fire him late in the coaching cycle. So good luck, Aaron Glenn, who gets to clean house after his hyper impressive rookie season at head coach.
That's to your point, Connor, about Tommy Rees, where like all of these teams that fail are dotted with guys that go on to become what they want to hire years later.
I mean, yeah, it's insane. Robert Saleh is reconstructing the Jets defensive coaching staff in Tennessee. And I think that they're going to have a really good team. It's just the failure to recognize talent, or if you're Woody Johnson, to go down there and be like, whoa, why are we doing this? Like, is stunning to me. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Good luck.
Yeah, exactly. All right. That's it. That's the end around. Mark, plenty of time.
We did it.
Plenty of time to clear out.
Where are you going to go?
I'm waiting for like the surprise filibuster that occurs at some point here before we exit. Where am I going to go, Connor? Just out on the outside, away from the street. It's like a.
Justin, let's say Brian Daboll is incredibly successful, and they have to make a new hired offense coordinator in 2027. Give us about 20 minutes on that, please.
Well, when Robert Saleh...
Just kidding. It's a joke.
He did say he had a plan for second phase. That was reported by
that
your
man
guy,
is sharp
Greer.
as it gets. There's nothing stopping Robert Saleh from hoisting Lombardi. All right. No, but honestly, when you look at the hires compared to the Jets and Browns, Titans they have a quarterback they believe in. They got a head coach that looks cool, and an offensive play caller who's had success with young passers.
Most cap in the league, 4th pick overall.
As much as I loved
all green lights, Justin.
as much as I loved being in like the basement with you guys, and we could sort of just like
share it's over. Yeah, you're gone. You're out of
together.
The shit pit.
Well, I'm not.
There's zero scenario where not everything works out perfectly now for the Titans.
Let's pump the brakes on that.
Sayonara shit pit.
I was
the
gonna
Titans
say
to the AFC title game. What could go wrong?
I was gonna say I'm hopeful things are changing for the Titans, and
nice knowing you.
I would definitely not go as far as you're going.
Don't forget about the little people, Justin. Bye. Everybody, heed the call.
Is this how your world sounds?
It doesn't have to. Hi, I'm Dr. Emily Russell, lead audiologist at Here.com. When it comes to restoring your hearing, Here.com offers America's #1 rated hearing aids that are tailored to your specific needs. Our German engineers have excelled in creating the most clear, natural sound, providing an unparalleled listening experience. Visit Here.com/clarity today to start your 45-day no-risk hearing aid trial.
Is this how your world sounds?
It doesn't have to. Hi, I'm Dr. Emily Russell, lead audiologist at Here.com. When it comes to restoring your hearing, Here.com offers America's #1 rated hearing aids that are tailored to your specific needs. Our German engineers have excelled in creating the most clear, natural sound, providing an unparalleled listening experience. Visit Here.com/clarity today to start your 45-day no-risk hearing aid trial.